All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 14 of the Daily Casts. I've got three fantastic guests on tonight who I'm excited to talk to. We've got uh, a whole heap of fantastic spoilers to talk about as well. I'm going to have each of my guests introduce themselves, talk about how they got into Netrunner, how they're involved in it these days, and what their favorite companion or connection resource is. So I'll start just at the top of the order. Funky Man, could you introduce yourself to the stream?
Hey everyone, I'm Funky Man, also known as Dan. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm currently playing in the Pittsburgh meta, Steel City Grid. Shout out. I actually first got my start in Netrunner in New England, in Boston. I had watched a really cool video from Shut Up and Sit Down, and I was kind of itching for a card game to play that didn't cost $1 million. Um, so it was right up my alley, and I found a cool group of folks. Felt very lucky to be in a place with a big meta and competitive players, and even though they were scary and I got knocked around a bit at some locals,
Yeah,
it was a really great introduction to the game.
the Boston meta is famous. We probably need to work on that a little bit, of being little less cutthroat. But it does get people up to speed pretty quick. So it's got its small upsides.
It was a rite of passage, and I got sent into standard very quickly, which was good. And the first standard deck that I really played was a really sweet Essa deck that Jeff lent me with my favorite connection resource, which would be Bankar. Love Bankar. So many fun games. Love that deck. Just rip through everything and see if you win or not.
Yeah, Bankar was a pretty crazy card, and it was not always broken. It was sometimes power appropriate for the format, and it had. There's games where it has downsides, and it's pretty neat when it does. So that's cool. Yeah, Bankar, a great card. Cool. Well, great as always. Great to have you back, Dan. Um, and then Sned, I'll have you come up next.
Hello. Hi, yeah. My name's Scotty. Sned, if you see me on the Discord. I'm coming from Naarm, Melbourne. Yeah, respect to all the Indigenous people. We're here on stolen land here today. My pronouns are he, him, and I got started Netrunner a few years back in around 2023 when a mate of mine pulled out this card game on a kitchen table, and I remember being really enamored by this game with these swimming lanes type thing going on. I had no idea what was going on, and I managed to pick up an old secondhand copy without any tokens, and a bunch of decks sort of scrambled together in there. And shout out to Ben and Mark from the Melbourne community, because I remember finding out there was a Discord for it, and jumping on Discord and being like, can anybody teach me this weird game with these lanes? And so we met up at a game shop, and they taught me the game after a few rounds. They handed me a system gateway pack and some mats and some tokens, and some Netrunner books to read. So I felt like I just got like this little package, this little starter package to
That's
um,
great.
to dive into the world of Netrunner, and I've never forgotten it. I've always just been really overwhelmed with how beautiful and amazing the Netrunner community is. So yeah, and since then I've sort of fumbled my way through. I didn't really have anybody else to learn from, so I threw myself into tournaments and meetups and have gotten myself pummeled and beaten all across half of Australia with this game. Loving every minute of it. Yeah, but my favorite companion, it's got to be Mystic Memi. I really like Mystic. I used to play a lot of Ken, so um, when you start the game, those run events seem really appealing. So Mystic Memi has done a lot of work. So
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
but thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. I like those stories are always great, and it's I'm sure they happen in other communities, but it feels like they're so common in Netrunner, where someone's just like, "Oh, you showed up, great. Here's everything,"
Yeah, yeah,
because it's such a you know people get lots of stuff and love to share it and bring people into this really cool hobby. So, oh, and I realized I misspelled Vertimouse here. Apologies. But last but most certainly not least, Vertimouse, could you introduce yourself to the stream?
Hello, everyone. I'm Vertimouse, pronouns he, him, and I am a I returned to Netrunner around summer 2024. Around that summer, had a broken foot at the time, and I was thinking, after playing a lot of Euro games ever since I moved to Washington D.C. But currently, I'm in Nebraska, and in summer 2024, I had a thought. I thought, man, I miss Netrunner, and I just don't want to store and collect a bunch of cards anyway. So I kind of dismissed it and its return around the COVID-19 years. But in summer 2024, I met a group playing it, and I did a bit of research, and I completely underestimated what Null Signal Games has turned it into. And I discovered Jinteki, which handles all the logistics, so to speak. But I did go out and buy everything Null Signal. I had a little fun last year. Decided last summer there are a lot of Netrunner playlists out there, but if there are some for the factions, I don't know where they are. So I decided to make 7 playlists for each faction in Netrunner. And they have a lot of Trip Mirror and they have a lot of Gunship. They started off with just Trip Mirror and Synthwave, but they went off the rails once I got to Criminal and NBN, and they are all pretty diverse.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have a link to that in the description. It's literally putting it in right now. I thank you for reminding me. I meant to put that in.
Yeah, I couldn't resist. I'm a casual player, but here's my mixtape.
No, that's a great. It's it's a great way. It's like I don't know. I think tryhards like myself tend to focus too much on that way of engaging, and the game is so much better because of all of the different ways that people do engage with it. So I'm really glad there's people making music, people putting playlists together. It makes things better. Honestly, I was gonna start the stream with that, but I was like, oh wait, I gotta copyright check all of these things. So
yeah, I figured.
But I'll see what I can grab from there. But yeah, today we had 3 different sets of scoops from AMS, from the Surveyor, and from the Archivists. We're going to go through them in set order. So let's get going on that. So the very first card we have to talk about is also the very first card in Vantage Point. It is Chain Reaction. It is a 1-cost Anarch event. It says play only if you made a successful run on HQ, R&D, and Archives this turn. Trash 2 installed Corp cards. The Corp trashes 1 installed Runner card. 1 stone is a small price to pay for 2 birds. And it is 5 influence. Anyone want to take a first stab at thoughts about the art, about the theme, about the card text, where they want to put it, any of those sorts of things?
Well, I played long enough in 2016 to remember playing Apex once, and getting Apocalypse to fire once, in which you make a successful run in HQ and R&D and Archives. You can play Apocalypse and wipe the board completely clean. And I vaguely remember winning a game of that once. and this looks like a return to it, but far more playful thematically and nerfed. And I'm all for it.
Definitely nerfed. I didn't really get to play APOC very much before it rotated. Um, but I do like that both of these cards have a significant downside. I mean, Apocalypse has a huge downside, but it's probably worse for the Corp, you know, if you can land it at the right time or if you've got the right hand for it. Chain Reaction seems like a much more nuanced version, for lack of a better word. I think it asks for the right board state. You know, if you can trash the key pieces, you know, the Biowaks that are rezzed or whatnot and sacrifice, you know, the right card, it can win you the game. But I also think that if you try and do this Haymaker at the wrong time, it might not get you nearly as much as you want. So I think it's good to have a card like that that rewards like good decision making, but it can also make it difficult to play all the time.
Yeah, this is a hard one.
Yeah.
The Corp Trash's one installed runner card. It's scary to me.
Yeah, for
'Cause
sure.
if you're spending all that time running HQ R&D and archives, then you've got things set up that are allowing you to do that. So, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's you know,
I'm
it's
gonna be interested to see.
yeah. I think this is going to be. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Vertimass. Apologies.
I just had a thought. If Haram is willing to spend 5 influence on this, they could go to town.
What makes you say about Hiram or Hiram doing like what's the connection for you there?
Well, Hiram gets benefits when installing or trashing hardware, I believe, and from any location. So Hiram could do 3 runs, do chain reactions, trash one of their cards, get a peek at R&D, and do some serious damage to corpse.
It's an interesting idea. This is one of those questions I have where I'm not, because Hiram says when you install or trash. I wonder if this actually says because this says the corp trashes, if that doesn't, if that means it's actually a nombo. But like that's a very subtle like netrunner thing that you end up having to learn to watch out for. So I don't know
All right.
exactly how that's going to work. I do think there is a point of like, if you're going to play Hiram and then you like use him to like use like boomerangs or something, right? Because you're like, oh, I want to install and trash my hardwares, and maybe I'll just use boomerang to get in, and now I don't actually have a board, so there's nothing for the corp to actually trash. Like maybe that's actually a way to use chain reaction, is you play a lot of like temporary trashable tools, and Hiram could totally be a good home for that. Though there's definitely some influence constraints you start to play there too.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know why I came up with that, but
No, it's a reasonable idea. It's like it's a rules team got you, but otherwise it's a decent idea.
I can picture.
oh,
Sorry, you go.
Nedish has
You
a
go.
good point.
Oh, thank you. I was going to say that I feel like you can kind of dare the corpse sometimes in certain situations. You probably have a most important card on the board that they want to get rid of, but they're also going to be like the most vulnerable that they've been. And so it's like, okay, do you want to trash, this one breaker that I might just have an extra one in my hand? That's like the linchpin here. Is there a value card? Do I have like a mostly full daily casts? Like, I think it puts the screws to the corp a little bit. There might not be a really obvious choice, and so like this is worth doing. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to at least try.
Yeah,
I was thinking, Issa doing a running hot combo with a chain reaction could be really, really cool.
Yeah, that's an excellent point.
Chastushka HQ, run R&D, run archives or whatever, running hot, chain reaction. You're just dismantling so much of the corp there, which could be really, really interesting.
Yeah, I think John Delaney mentioned like, oh, maybe maybe you can use this against asset decks where it's like, oh, it's annoying to go after all of your assets, it's annoying to pay all those trash costs, but like maybe I have like a Botulus I can put on your HQ ice, and then R&D and archives are unprotected, and so I could just boom, 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 chain reaction. Oh no, you blew up my Botulus. I got to kill your FUT and your like one piece of res ice on a remote, which is potentially an angle here. I think the like other thought like I wonder if you could do like, I don't know the Seb decks that well, but I feel like the Seb decks have a lot of like, they don't have that many pieces and they're kind of important, but it tends to play like 3x copies of a lot of them for redundancy. And so you could disrupt the corpse board, and that deck is a lot just about disruption and denial. And so by trashing more stuff, you can just kind of keep the game in the place where Seb is really valuable. And I think you could be like, that could be an angle, and potentially you can get more value out of some of those central runs too with Seb if you include like a privileged access or something in there.
Yep. Just to be clear, this hostile architecture still triggers, right?
Ooh, let's check. I suspect
If
so.
we're in,
Yeah. Hostile architecture still
Okay.
says the first time each turn the runner trashes any of your installed cards, including this asset, do 2 damage. So even if you as the runner said, boom, I'm going to blow up that hostile architecture, you are going to take some 2 damage. Yeah, I think.
depending on
Oh,
the corpse board state, it's cheap, so
Yeah.
one credit is cheaper than.
yeah,
all
it's
those
like
guys.
that. The compared, it's like it's like, oh, it's really scary that the court gets to trash the best card on my board, but it's like, well, Apocalypse just trashed all the cards on your board, and I think there's an interesting trade-off there where like the cost is actually both in credits and in like your card and engine access that's like turned down on this. So like, while I don't know what the home for chain reaction is right now, it does feel like it's going to be worth exploring. So, Drop Bear saying, I
I
think
agree.
it should, yeah.
You go ahead, Jeff.
I was gonna say, like, Corrupt Drop Bear saying, like, I kind of think they need to trash an entire server or something. I think it kind of comes like, there's not that many servers that will be above 2 ice. Like, sometimes decks will have 3 ice servers. Sometimes they'll have 2 ice and 2 upgrades. But like, probably you can make some choices as the runner that will let you exploit that one way or another, which could be interesting. But Dan, go ahead.
Well, I think your point before about Seb was a good choice. Seb has a really good way to punish exposed servers. If you're then transferring on the next turn, right? Or like, I think it feels like you could use this to blow up a remote server, or if there's like an advanced agenda, and you pulled this off, suddenly it's going to be exposed in archives again. And yeah, I think it's just about finding your moment and having the right tools to actually punish. But I think just for the influence cost of this card alone, we're really only going to see it in Anarch. Maybe, Kevin is saying, maybe in the Mercury decks, I could see it. But at that point, just play Deep Dive in Mercury. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a little... I don't know, this card's interesting. And I think, like, APOC was very much like, you used APOC to just, like, reset an endgame board to something that was favorable for the runner, and chain reaction, like, it can't do that. So it feels like it's almost wants you to do like a tempo version of APOC, which seems hard, but like it's kind of interesting. So I'm curious to see how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm definitely intrigued.
Yeah, I also want to quickly shout out this. This came from the Trace X Substack that Kikai runs. Kikai, in addition to being an excellent player, has spent a lot of time writing up really good meta reports and tournament breakdowns. And the article about chain reaction, he talked about Markov chain analysis, which is something that Lucy spent some time doing, and then got integrated into Maker's Eye. So a bunch of big things in the network community all kind of came together. And I thought it was a really interesting way to look at metas and meta breakdown shares. I've included a link to that in the description. I would definitely recommend, if you are interested in thinking about the statistics and strengths and matchup strengths of different decks, it was a really interesting and I think pretty insightful way to look at them that I think goes past the like win rate and tournament placement analysis that has been kind of the best tools we've had before this. So definitely strongly recommend checking that out if you have not. It does a good job of explaining things in a non-mathy way, if math is something that you don't love the way I do. So I'll also just say, like, I like the silliness on this art. Like, it is definitely over the top and a little cartoony, but like I think it's fun. It sells a fun little image, and like I could see if chain reaction becomes ever a thing, getting the guy on the right becoming part of some memes of getting clowned on by chain reaction.
Or a great new candidate for a cosplay. I think
Yeah.
awesome.
Cool.
I feel like the guy on the right is actually Topan.
Is it? Doesn't seem like Topan to me. I would be quite the change, right? Because there's a goatee on the guy on the right.
That goatee is just so horrendous.
All right, well, let's move on to our next card. This one comes courtesy of the Archivist podcast, which I think has done some really neat episodes on like the lore and narrative background of Netrunners. Definitely recommend giving it a listen when you get a chance. They got both an Anarch card and a HB card. So we're going to talk about the Anarch card first. And Odd Edge, the guy on the right is completely raccoon coded. Yes, I agree. That guy has strong raccoon vibes, which is, I feel like, part of why I like this art. Is it's just very over the top cartoon. People are saying, is that working prototype on the left, or like in the center, anything blown up? I don't know. It's interesting. Anyway, we got Hackerspace. This is a 2-cost unique resource location. You can install unique companion resources and unique connection resources on this resource. Each resource installed this way costs 1 credit less to install. Excuse me. While this resource has a hosted companion and a hosted connection, you get +2 maximum hand size. It's 1 credit. And then the flavor text, that's Salamander, Maestro, Iggy Two Fingers, C-Suite, Johnny N, Tina Kickflips, and of course, Sir Hax-a-Lot.
That lore is really cool. It's a really cool lore card for sure.
Are these names like referencing anything specific? Have we like heard these like hacker names before?
You know, if it was Johnny T, I would say yes, but I don't know that, like, these are all, to me, I think, new names, at least. I was thinking this would be Johnny 2 consoles, so Johnny TC would have been my little nod to the community. Johnny Netrunner, that's an option. John Netrunner, yeah. So maybe that's the little hint there. And yeah, I guess Salamander could be, like, some people will call Mystic a Salamander, even though I think it's supposed to be an axolotl. Trying to think if there's anything, like, maybe these are like silly names for existing connections. What would Sir Hax-a-Lot be? I wonder if that would be Banhar or something. Now we gotta make the canonical partner companion connection pairs as well. But Yeah, I don't know. It's a fun. I mean, the flavor text I think is doing a lot of great work on this card for sure, and I imagine we'll have some fun alt arts too, if people end up wanting to make alt arts of it, because it's a you can do a lot with the general vibe of a hacker space. Um, Any thoughts? Any thoughts on like how this card works mechanically? Are there decks where anyone's like, "Ooh, I'd like to try this in this space in this deck"?
I mean, Issa again.
Yeah.
Issa's hand size would be nice.
So, do you have an idea
Yeah.
of what companions or connections you'd want to include in Issa?
I think, Trickster, Paladin, and Fencer would be nice.
Not
But
Mystic,
they're all
I guess.
they all
But
yeah, they're all companions, aren't they?
yeah, all of those are companions.
At one influence, I could see all three factions getting some work out of it. Shapers could throw Knick-Knack on there. Oh, Dag, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like that's really the only shaper companion I think is Dag. And I think criminals only have Amelia, if I'm remembering correctly. But you do like a lot of those decks will splash for like Mystic, Mamies, and Paladin, so it's not unreasonable to still have this lineup for the +2 hand size.
What about Debbie? I know
Oh.
Arnark has a lot of them, but oh yeah, Debbie.
Yeah, and Debbie's a
Seb has a
solid
lot.
card to run.
I think
Seb's got
Dr.
Manuel
Nuka-
and those things. Yeah. Oh yeah,
Oh,
Nuka.
Manuel.
That's a good shout. Yeah.
Nuka feels like a good one to me, just because it also benefits from the hand size while you have it. I guess Nuka goes away eventually, but I can see a couple of plays where you could really draw up and hold some of the extra Nuka cards, but it can be kind of awkward sometimes to draw so many in a turn. But I also feel like this card really fights for space with the companions, actually. Or rather, I think it's hard to get enough value out of this card that isn't provided by Paladin. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's almost like, oh, if I'm playing Paladin and I have connections, like Paladin can't actually pay for the connections, so Hackerspace kind of helps. You pay for that connection. But
True.
yeah, it is a little bit tricky where it's like, oh, okay, maybe I don't want Paladin if I'm going to have both companions and connections, so I'm playing Mystic. Oh, but now I want to be playing events, not connections. Okay, maybe I'll play Fencer. Fencer's fine, but it's not a card you want to build around, and you don't get the Hackerspace discount. I think this card feels like it's a little bit of an awkward spot, which is a bummer because I think the like theme that's both on like painted here and in the flavor text is really cool. But it's like outside of Essa, it's a little bit harder for me to imagine a deck that like gets a lot out of the hand size. And I don't even know what connections Essa runs reliably other than Dr. Nuka, which makes this a little bit tricky.
There's a potential for a kind of a girls thing to happen.
Like Girl
That's
Scout.
fair. Yeah, so you do, or not Beatrice. That's not the card. The Pretty Mary is the girl's card, right? So you do Pretty Mary. You take your companion of choice. You use twinning, and you just kind of get some extra value, get some extra hand size, and kind of goes to town.
Pretty Mary, Trickster, and all of these new stealth cards.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Did we get? I don't feel like we've gotten. Oh no, we got Stick and Poke as a new companion, but I think that's been the only one we've seen.
Oh wow, it's a companion. I forgot that.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think if we've gotten any other connections yet. And by think, I mean I'm looking at the cards to see if we've gotten any. Oh yeah, we got
Crew?
Underdome. We got Underdome Irregulars, which is probably not a great target for Hackerspace, honestly. I mean, I guess it costs less, but it's probably not going to stick around forever. So you might like not get an Ice Reds, and suddenly you're down like 2 hand size as well as all your other cards.
No, I think Vertimaus's point that this is only one influence was a good catch, and that maybe it's going to be far more at home in the criminal decks. You know, I wonder if Baz wants something like this as even more of a discount when installing some of the things off of his idea abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh,
as is only jobs or connections as well.
Let's look. I don't remember off the top of my head what as
Uh,
says.
job resource, connection
Connection.
resource, or hardware. So yeah, I mean,
Okay.
as might have some fun in this.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because as could splash this, and as will usually play a companion, or it's often incentivized to do so. Often paladin. So yeah, maybe this could work. There's probably there's a little bit of unfortunate like ordering where you have to draw your hacker spaces first as well. You can't draw your connections earlier, which is definitely a little bit tricky with this card. But what is
Depending on
Gunshot?
how many cards are installed, it's very vulnerable to a tag resource destruction, I guess.
Yeah, I think there's like what was it was off campus apartment. I think is like the card that this most resembles. That drew a card instead of giving you a credit discount in hand size. It also cost 2 less. And I guess it only worked with connections, but yeah, I don't know. It's a card I don't exactly know what to do with, but I like as a setting piece. I like it quite a bit. So. But I think the next card that the Archivists podcast showed, I think is I think this card has some real potential, and I think also actually it's another great like lore little piece here. So this is a 1-cost HB operation. It's called Retirement Plan. It is subtyped double. As an additional cost to play this operation, spend click. Install 1 agenda, asset, or piece of ice from archives. And it is 3 influence. And then it says, the flavor text, your term of service has... Nope, sorry. Your terms of service have been extended. And the art shows, to me, what looks like a deceased executive discovering that he's being woken up as a Bioroid, which it's a... I feel like HB's like grim is a whole extra level of grim in the Netrunner universe.
Remember that meme contest by Neon Static? We uploaded your soul into a Roomba. Good luck.
Yeah, that definitely
It's
definitely has some of
wonderful
those.
art.
Yeah,
It's really cool art.
yeah. Mauricio Herrera delivering yet again for like what feels like an iconic piece, even though it's not even out yet.
I didn't even catch that could be like coded as an executive, but even still, like I think this makes you question suddenly all the Bioroids, right? Like, are all of the Bioroids people who have died? Are just some of them? Maybe I don't know enough of the like Netrunner lore. Maybe it's just your brain tapes that they've uploaded into a new body. But it's this one definitely gives you the creeps for HB.
Yeah, I think it's always a little ambiguous, but like I think like it seems like it's probably a mix of like some stuff from people that are dead. I think what was it like Nightmare Archives I think said something about the brain tapes. Like there's lots of different weird lore in the brain tapes, creepy stuff. So
It reminds me of both the games Soma and Defense Grid, which has some Defense Grid, which a major character is someone who got uploaded into a computer assistant for the player, and I think, oh, I'll never taste strawberries again.
Yeah, I guess also Portal has some of those vibes too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a I mean it's a good sci-fi trope, and it's used a lot, and it's nice to see it. Some of the horror of it, like it's doing, a lot of those rely on a lot of interactions and some very over the top stuff, and it's fun to see it kind of brought down to this single image, which I think is quite cool. I'm also curious if we'll end up seeing either of these characters on other cards. I'm kind of curious about the guy putting the Bioroids together here, honestly. But
Yeah. Yeah, some great storytelling, some great visual storytelling.
I'm
I get-
really curious to find out if the fact that it's a double like makes the card not nearly as strong as it could be. I can't help but compare it to Archive Memories, but I guess Archive Memories lets you pick up your kill operations, and this does not. But even still,
yeah,
Well,
Archive Memories to get banned for a little bit, and this is like if you're only ever recurring agendas, assets, or ice. This is just kind of Archive Memories. I guess you're paying a credit as well, but it's the like install and grab a card back and install it is sort of like a double.
It's Scrounge, but HB.
Wasn't
that's-
there a reveal recently about reducing the doubles by a click?
Yeah, that's that was one of the cards from Worlds, I think.
Synchro Cyclotron.
Yeah, let me pull that in. So that's Synchrocyclotron, which we have been given explicit permission to just call Cyclotron. And yeah, it's the first double each turn costs 1 click less to play. So you can play Retirement Plan and get for just 1 click, which is kind of interesting.
if I'm
What?
playing Cyclotron, I would play Retirement Plan, but I would also rather play Corporate Hospitality, which doesn't give you the install, but it is a double, and it gives you money and card draw instead. And then I could decide a little bit more about the installs, perhaps.
Yeah, I get. It's like it's an interesting. I feel like both do slightly different things, right? Like corporate hospitality often is like, oh, I have an operation combo, and I'm able to do something with like the 1 click I have left. Retirement Plan almost feels like oh, you diffused my server. Let me set that back up again, in a way. But I don't know. Maybe corporate hospitality is just outclasses it. I think also the 1 trash cost has hurt me so many times on corporate hospitality where I'm like, just don't access and trash it, please. If you can steal the agenda in my hand, just don't hit the corporate hospitality. And I feel like that always happens, but
I can see Alco using this.
yeah, yeah. Alco definitely seems like a recurring Bladderworts, bringing back Futs. It's pricey at 3 influence, but that deck often is like, oh, it just needs to be able to put threats on the board, and Retirement Plan is a good way to say, oh yeah, you trashed an expensive threat. Let me just make you do that again, and see if that's interesting. Trying to remember.
Yeah, that could be a nightmare to run against an Alco that also is using Retirement Plan.
Yeah, I guess it's like I'm not sure exactly what HB decks this goes into, because I think one that it kind of doesn't allow you to do upgrades, so you can't do Managarm Skunkworks with recursion with Retirement Plan, which definitely feels like one of the things you would want to be able to do with this card.
Yeah, or Mercia with Leo.
Yeah.
That would be,
Though I guess
be
we
great.
did see Event Horizon, which in any deck can function kind of like a Mercia does in Leo. And so maybe you can use Retirement Plan to recur Event Horizons and get them onto the board again quickly.
I believe Core HB has some kind of retaliatory combo that can lead to an immediate tag and Hypoxia. I think at least one of those cards is a double.
Oh, Distributed Tracing, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, Distributed Tracing is the other double. Yeah, I mean, maybe you could play this like in a Thule deck that's looking to like grind out and kill the runner, and you have some key assets to make things difficult for the runner, and you get to play those a couple of times.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking.
yeah, I'll be
I
interested to
hate
see. Yeah. This card seems like it's designed to make life very frustrating for the runners. It's sort of a spin on Interns, which is an old school FFG card. It's arguably a little bit weaker, but I also think the game is a little different. So I'll be curious. I could see Retirement Plan still being a major part of the meta, even if Interns was not like an all-star card at all times. It was actually quite broken in a couple of cases, though some of that was with other stuff. Yeah, Corrupt Dropper saying, how many times do you want to trash wage workers? That's a great question, right? Oh yeah, let me get my wage workers back out. They weren't quite done working for me. So.
Or even like if you have a wage workers on the board and you spend 3 clicks installing, you got 1 click left, you can like res the cyclotron, play your Retirement Plan or another double, and suddenly you have like 4 installs on the board, including one that maybe you had just trashed, or like is the defensive piece that you needed, like the Event Horizon. Like I think this can get pretty brutal. I think HP's been given some solid tools, and man, if Asa were still here, we would be gaming.
This would be such a. I mean, like, I'm even just imagining, like, yeah, I would play this to put Rashida back in my remote, right? Like, that would be pretty sick. Very cool. All right, we only have one more card to spoil. Some of you may know there's actually 2 cards from the Saharasa game, but the other card is not given in like full text resolution. It's a little bit grainy, and also the Saharasa spoiler is like apparently a 2-hour plus ish like game experience that a bunch of people worked on. I didn't have time to pull in all the credits, but we're gonna have AMS, one of the other creators, to talk about it on Saturday, and so I don't want to like just ruin all of the effort that went in, and encourage people to really go and check out that spoiler. It is linked in the description of this video. So we're going to talk about the card that you can access pretty much immediately, but there is another bonus in there for those of you who want to go hunting. But the one card we have, I think, is also a banger and a very interesting one. So I think we've got a good card to kind of close out the discussion today on. And this is Perfect Recall. This is a 1-cost upgrade out of HB. Its text is, when you res this upgrade, and whenever an agenda is scored or stolen from this server or its route, place 1 power counter on this upgrade. Hosted power counter, reveal 1 card in HQ. The runner cannot steal or trash copies of that card for the remainder of this run. Use this ability only during a run. This is 2 influence and 3 to trash. Vertimouse, I guess, do you have any first thoughts on really any aspect of this card?
For those of you who are movie buffs, is this a homage to Total Recall?
I'm not a movie buff, but I would imagine it probably is with a name like Perfect Recall, but
I see this going in a lot of asset decks.
I think in that Thule deck that you were just talking about, could see a home here. Depending on what you're running on the board, if you're doing any working prototype shenanigans or warm reception with res and derez, you know, let's say you've got a working prototype that's stacked up. The runner's game plan is probably to go trash that card. It's probably your main econ. And if you have a perfect recall that you can res or is protected somewhere else, you've got another working prototype in your hand. Suddenly they run the working prototype, they waste one of their precious clicks in a Thule matchup, and they can't even do anything to the asset. And that's just like trying to diffuse the econ. That's not even talking about trying to steal an agenda.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And then, like, I think one of the interesting things is because this gets a counter on res, if you've done that turn where you go like install, install, install 3 face downs, and the runner checks the one you like wanted to save, you can just res a perfect recall and just basically steal a click. You can exchange a credit for a click, and that's probably something that you can build your deck around being able to exploit, which seems like a really powerful thing. And then yeah, warm reception I think is also worth giving an extra shout out, because like getting counters on this by it having to be like in a server that has agendas in it is probably a little bit tricky. But if you can like warm reception kind of flicker it up and down, that seems like it's going to start really kind of pumping out a lot of counters quite quickly.
I'm really interested in the counterplay for a an ESA type deck for this as well. You know, say there's a Chastushka on HQ, and while they're running, you know, the corp uses one of their counters, and then they reveal an agenda in HQ, and they Chastushka it, and they trash it, and then it can't be stolen from archives.
Well, so this only says
Oh,
during
for
the
the remainder
run.
of this run.
Yeah, which is a big. So
Right.
there's another card
Yep.
that if you're an old head, you might remember Lakshmi Smart Fabrics, which worked a little bit differently. Like Perfect Recall being able to protect any type of card is actually pretty big. Is a huge difference from Lakshmi. Lakshmi got power counter. It had an easier time getting power counters, but you had to spend more of them, and you could only spend them to protect agendas. But it did for the whole turn. Whereas Perfect Recall says just for this run, but you can basically stop anything, any interaction of almost any type. There's like one exception I can think of in the card tool, but yeah, it's gonna really mess with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, cool. I was thinking of it like Lakshmi, but I see.
Yeah.
Reading the card explains the card.
It's amazing how often that happens. Corrupt Drop Bear asking, do power counters stay on when warm reception? Yes. When you de-res a card, it keeps any counters it had on it before you de-resed it. So someone also called out, if you score an Elvigar, oh my goodness, I can never spell this, bifurcation, Elvigar bifurcation, where are we? Elvigar bifurcation. Okay. If you score an Elvigar bifurcation on its perfect recall, you can res the perfect recall, score the Elvigar, trigger the on score effect of perfect recall to put a counter, then de-res the perfect recall, and then res it again. And so you will actually get 3 counters on the perfect recall, assuming that you're resing it for the first time when you score the 2-1. So you can do that.
That's nice.
So. Oh yeah, John Delaney
That's
asking. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dan.
It's just such a wild combo that you can do that and immediately set up the system. Like I just keep thinking about these Thule decks. You know, you often have a couple other upgrades that you can bluff with. You might have Tranquility Home Grid in the deck to help power your econ and installs. But when these upgrades are face down, they also all look like Hendrix or Jubstad. Like there's a lot of guessing going on. But the fact that you could have Perfect Recall down as another like defensive tool, I think is huge. And I did not realize until chat called it out that Perfect Recall is not unique. And you could have 2 of them on the board.
Yeah, you could have multiple of them in the same server, so you get like three power counter. Like you could get three power counters out of a single score in certain cases. It's just kind of
And then have the one in hand to stop them from being trashed on the run, like
yeah.
crazy.
Does this? Trying to remember what the text on Makota Langit Grid does. Assets. Okay, so we can't protect our perfect recalls by just putting a Makota Langit Grid, but also like a 3 trash cost is not insubstantial, right? Like it is expensive for the runner to go and interact with this card. So yeah, actually, okay. Chat did find so there's 2 cards I can think of that get around this a little bit, and one is Copulation because Copulation hosts, it doesn't steal or trash, and then also Detente will do the same thing. Though I think one of those cards has seen a little bit more play, and I'd be shocked if Detente suddenly becomes meta relevant because of Perfect Recall. Though I guess stranger things have happened. But yeah. That's
Well, now that Phoenix is the new best Anarch, I'm sure we'll see a lot more Detente in the future.
I mean, hey, we got Phoenix support, so we could be in for a wild matchup of Perfect Recall against well, actually, and the funny, it's like, oh yeah, Perfect Recall doesn't stop the Phoenix trash because that's the thing this can do. So
Well, but you play Iceless Thule against Phoenix. Cursed matchup.
Man, every now and again, like as a diehard Ari player, I'm like, just give me a card that I can install as Ice on the Corporations board, just so I can interact with Ice, even in the matchups where my opponent doesn't play Ice. I spent so much effort in my deck slots. Let me do it, please, please. But yeah, I don't know, this is an interesting card. I guess we've talked about it mostly in Thule and Asset decks. Do you ever think do you think you would try this in like an LEO deck or a PD style deck?
Can't help but think that it's for cheaper, easier to score agendas. If you know, so that by the car, whatever it's called, the 2/1, like things like that seem to be where it sits, or asset spam. So I'm not sure about Leo.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, it's another nice thing to stick in your Tranquility home grid, so...
Yeah.
I just thought of a third card that could get around it if you're attacking it directly. What was it called? Light the Fire. Would that do something?
Yeah, it sure would. Light the Fire would turn this off if you light the fire the Perfect Recall server. Just blanks all the text, and you get to say ha ha ha. And maybe it's time. I mean, it's a tough meta for Light the Fire because Border Control just came back. But
And Leo.
And Leo still exists, but John Delaney asking, if you get hit with Sabotage, can you say I try and trash the selected? No, you cannot. And the reason is, I'm just gonna pull up Essa because she has the reminder text on it. It says the Corp trashes 2 cards, and Perfect Recall prevents the runner from stealing or trashing. So that's why that doesn't work. We're doing some technical rules tonight on who's trashing what cards, and that's funny that ended up mattering on 2 different cards today. So yeah, it is a funky little nuanced interaction in there. So very cool. Well, and I guess the other question is, are there any out of faction uses that pique you any, or I don't even know how to say that word, pique your interest? I think someone mentioned Alco. Maybe that's the best one, but
I mean, there's a part of me that thinks Epiphany or Prav might be something. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if someone figures something out with that.
Yeah. Maybe an interesting little synergy here also with a card that like people were pretty interested in was Let Them Dream, where you can score Let Them Dream and then like chain Windmill into your next agenda that you already have a copy of, so you can protect it safely with Perfect Recall. Could be kind of interesting. But Dan, I think I cut you off.
That is interesting. I think this could see a home in Leo, but showing that you have an agenda in HQ is a little risky.
Mm-hmm.
If you can do it after the runner has spent enough resources, you know, like let's say they run the server and you Leo the remote, you run the server and then you Event Horizon on the remote, then they run their server again, then, you know, you could Perfect Recall and say, well, maybe you're getting in, but you can't get this. And you can't run back. But even still, at like paying through the Mana Garm or whatnot, it still feels like it'll be a better option. I don't see a ton of out of faction uses for this, though the influence is decent enough. Only 2. Maybe some of the Alco Acid decks, like you said. I'm a lot more interested in Red Room, try to make Red Room work in Wayland as the defensive upgrade. So we'll see what I end up building the most.
Yeah. I mean, you could even use Perfect Recall to protect your red rooms if you want one in one direction or the other. So
now we're talking Clown Car server.
Yeah, well, actually, I guess probably not Clown Car, because you probably want to put your Perfect Recall in your scoring remote, and your red room has to be on the central. But you could actually then use them to protect each other, which is kind of funny, right? The runner goes to trash your Perfect Recall, you spend a red room counter. They go to trash your red room, you show them the red room you have in hand. So you could do some upgrade synergy here. Could be kind of fun.
That would be so demoralizing.
Yeah, it's just like you get a little behind as the runner, and suddenly it's like, oh, the corp can blank 4 of my runs or something. That could be enough to just win a game on the spot. So, well, we've got some demoralizing corp cards. I will say there is at the very least, interesting runner card that will have some callback to a very strong runner cards. If for those of you who want to go to the true ending of the Saharas of Spoilers. And I want to thank all of my guests. We're going to wrap it up for tonight here. But thank you all 3. This has been a ton of fun. People should check out Vertimouse's playlist for all of the factions. And I guess anything else that any of you all want to plug?
I will shout out that Pittsburgh is hosting a Vantage Point release party Saturday, March 7th. If you're in the general area, we'd love to host you.
And where can they find info for that, Dan?
Information is on Always Be Running. It's
Fantastic.
posted there. You can also jump in, try and find the Steel City Grid Discord.
And Vertimouse, sounds like you had something you want to say, mention, plug.
I will post a link, but I just remembered my favorite resource is probably Poedin Pomu, Paladin Pomu.
Yes.
All right. Well, fantastic. And Scotty, I'll ask in case you got anything you want to plug or districts or stuff you're excited about coming up.
I mean, no, I'm just thanks for having me. It's been a real pleasure, and hopefully I'll see you all on JNet or in person here in Melbourne one time.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We have just 2 more days of Daily Cast left, and only, I think, 4 more days until set release. So I hope everyone's been enjoying the ride. We've got a little bit more to go. We still got some spicy stuff here to come. And thanks, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll see you all tomorrow. And I guess I should also remind people, Saturday is going to be an early stream. It's going to be at noon Eastern to accommodate AMS and some other UK folk coming on to talk about the game that they made to do the spoilers for today. So thank you, everyone, and keep an eye out for that. Tomorrow will still be a regular 8 p.m. stream. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks, man.
Have a good
Bye.
night.